Water. It's the essence of life, flowing through every corner of our planet, sustaining all forms of life. However, an alarming 32 billion cubic meters of water are lost every single year through leaks and inefficiencies in our water systems. This staggering waste not only translates to billions of dollars in economic losses, but it's also exacerbating the global water crisis, leaving countless communities without access to clean, safe water. The harsh reality is that by 2025, as many as half of the world's population will be living in water stressed areas. But this problem isn't just about scarcity, it's about the vast inefficiencies that lead to lost water and missed opportunities for better resource management. Hello, I am your host, Mike Lake, and in today's episode of Preview of Tomorrow, I will be talking with Hélio Samora, CEO of SmartAcqua, a company revolutionizing the way we manage water waste through innovative technology.
Innovation, resiliency, discovery. Join Mike Lake, President and CEO of Leading Cities, as we explore the technologies shaping the possibilities of our future with a preview of tomorrow.
Hello and welcome, Hélio. Thank you so much for joining us. And I do want to welcome all of our listeners and viewers today. I'd love to introduce you to Hélio Samora. He is the CEO of SmartAcqua, a company dedicated to tackling one of the most pressing issues of our time, water inefficiency. Hélio, let's start by learning a little bit more about you and your background, and ultimately, what inspired you to address the water issues so many communities around the world are facing today?
Hey, Mike, morning. Thank you for having me here. Look, I'm starting as my background. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, but I've been in technology for over 30 years. And always looking for automation, how to make things easier for the companies I had offer solution to. And lately, in the last few years, I joined my first boss ever, the guy that I worked 40 years ago. I was intern in a company that is the biggest water meter manufacturer in the planet. It's a French group. And then I met this guy, and 4 years ago, we became friends. And 5 years ago, he approached me and said, look, I have this great idea to solve this global problem. That is the water inefficiency in the distribution. And then we joined forces and we started the company, SmartAcqua, born in March 2021, to help the utilities around the world.
So I got to tell you, Elio, it surprises me. I'm one of these news junkies. I can't get enough. But what surprises me is the fact that there are not alarm bells being rung in every community around the world around the existing and worsening threat of lack of water. I mean, as we all know, human beings, we can't survive without it. And just for our listeners, I want to give a little context here because after just hearing a few of the statistics, you'll understand why this surprises me so much. But the fact of the matter is, right now, 2 billion people already lack access to safely managed drinking water at home. But that gets worse because by next year, it's projected that half of the world's population will be living in water-stressed areas. And one last statistic, because this one, with two children of my own, every day over 700 children under the age of 5 die from causes linked to inadequate water, sanitation, or hygiene. I mean, water is just such a basic human need, and yet the lack of access to the safe drinking water is a huge threat to people, and we're seeing it now, and we're not raising the alarm bells. Elio, tell me, I mean, this is serious.
This is really serious, Mike, and I'm glad that you recognize the problem. But look, several people take water for granted. But one every 4 human beings on this planet do not have water every day. And you mentioned the kids, and there are other alarming number of diseases associated with not having water. But the utilities in general, and actually the population doesn't know. We need, and one of the things you and I and everybody involved with this should raise the flag and say, people, we need to pay attention for that. There is a climate change. We are now seeing droughts in places that never had drought in the past, such as Canada, US, Brazil. Brazil is the biggest. Actually, Brazil has 70% of the drinking water of the planet. And even though there are regions in the country that do not have water, and not talking about poor regions, I'm talking about big cities that have thousands and thousands of people with water 2 days in a week, 3 days in a week. But this is happening all over the world. But again, we need to raise the awareness, and we need to involve the people to address the problem. There is a problem. There is a shortage of water. There is a climate change, and the water utilities have a very low level of efficiency compared with other industries, and we need to raise the flag, and people need to start to address this problem.
Well, I mean, there's all, you mentioned climate change, and we talk a lot about climate change on this podcast, but and there is that nature-based problem. And it's not that we can't do anything about it. You and I both know we can. There's a lot that's being done, and a lot more that needs to be done. But there's even, when it comes to water, especially in industrialized nations, right? There's already processes in place. There's effort, there's money, there's everything put into cleaning water and distributing that water when you have a full water system like we do in the United States. But there's also another reality to this, right? And I've heard as much as 25 to 30% of water produced globally by utilities is classified as non-revenue water. Now, I scratch my head, I'll have to be honest, what is this non-revenue water? But it's the water that's lost due to things like leaks or theft or inaccurate metering. And it's increasing the level of water scarcity that we have. So that's kind of on the more public sector, but even on the private sector, you have issues where companies that do use a lot of water in their manufacturing, whether it's beverages or textiles or chemicals, they report as much as 60% of their water footprint is lost due to inefficient practices and outdated infrastructure. I mean, this is a lot of this priceless, water that we're losing. What do you see? Are those statistics accurate, and what can we be doing about it?
Look, the statistics are really precise. Actually, some numbers are even worse than that. According to the EPA, there are the U.S. in average loses 24% of the water every single day. This means that 2 trillion gallons of water are lost every year in the U.S. Can you imagine the impact? The impact that you have in the nature, the impact that you have in costs to draw water, treat the water, distribute the water. And then you brought another point, that the water that is lost inside the walls of companies and businesses, being a hotel, being a beer manufacturing, whatever. But those, if you are inside your business, you should fix that. There are technology, and you should fix that. There's an efficiency inside your business. But when it goes to the public, we don't see the same chase for quality, for efficiency. Because look, we have invest 300,000 breaks, main breaks per year. Is 1,000, almost 1,000 per day. Today, in some places, in 1,000 places in US, going to have a break that is sustained, that is big, that justify people dig and fix pipe. So, and the utilities, they are not equipped with people or nor technology to accelerate this and fix this problem. And that's, we and other companies are trying to solve. But again, the problem is alarming. The numbers you mentioned are really, I would say, sometimes massaged, because nobody wants, you don't want to go to your dinner table, tell your wife that you lose 30% of your water every day. Doesn't look good, okay?
You're right about that, and you know, there is the business side, and I understand that about $14 billion annually is lost due to things like these water leaks and inefficiencies for just for the utilities.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a business case for this. There's a moral case for. I mean, to think that 700 children a day
Okay.
dying because of the lack of access to water. Now, this not to say that a utility in the U.S. is going to save some water locally and it's going to save a life somewhere halfway around the world. I'm not making a direct connection here.
Hmm.
But if we continue to waste water, the water, as you point out, we take for granted, that problem comes closer to those utilities, right? Now it's suddenly potentially people in their own neighborhood. So there's a moral obligation that we have. I mean, I'll be a bit provocative. It almost seems criminal to let water be wasted. Um, so, thinking about the economic impact, thinking about the moral obligation, and tell us now a little bit about Smart Aqua. How can we be dealing with this?
Yeah, that's good. I agree too. And if it's a moral, is economical, but the environmental impact. Nobody's, we are drawing water from the nature that we should not, because we need to preserve we need to live better. You need, of course, but we need to preserve the planet for our future generations, our kids, grandkids, grandkids. But anyway, we built a solution to address this problem. Smart Aqua was created to understand the distribution in every single city, understand how the consumption profiles, the consumption pattern, the production, we have seasons, the seasonal consumption changes, the seasonal production changes, and then we build up an AI-based platform to understand every single city. And we apply intelligence, we apply mathematics to help the utilities to increase productivity. That's all we do. I can dive a little bit on this, but we help to accelerate leak detection. We help to accelerate the utilities to find faulty meters and eventually fraud. So that pretty much the three main reasons the no revenue water happens.
I mean, so you're getting right to the crux of the problem here with Smart Aqua. Um, can you walk us through a little bit of maybe the solution itself, or even perhaps how it gets implemented?
Okay, very good. So the solution is a very mathematically speaking or technology speaking is a big data analytic platform that is empowered by AI. But what we do, we go to the utility, we connect with their production system. They have a production system, they are producing water. They have a billing system because they are sending bills every month to us, and our bills are not getting cheaper. And then we get all that data, we get all the GIS data, all information they have, and you have one or more algorithms that understand the city and prioritize activity. Well, someone already said the management business is define priority. Our solution helps the utility to define priorities. Which streets should I go first to find a leak? Which customer should go first to find a faulty meter or so on. And then that's exactly how we work. We are a platform that gets data, massage the data, produce daily information to maximize investment, reduce capex to reduce water loss.
So let's do something a little funny here. Let's project ourselves into the future, and you're now whatever the CEO of a utility that's been utilizing Smart Aqua's solution for the last 5 years. Tell us a little bit about that, the impact you expect to see. What does it ultimately, what I'm getting at here is, what does it mean for people like me, or my family or my neighbors?
Okay, I will start answer this. What means for you and your family, your neighbors, if you have a more efficient water utility serving your neighborhood, your subdivision? You're gonna have clean water every day for now and for the future. Okay, and to be honest, 5 years.
Stop there. That's enough. Enough said.
There you go.
Right?
That's
keep
it.
Going.
Yeah, but I cannot say in 5 years most of the cities, even in North America, including US and Canada, we can say that. okay, because water is getting scarce. But anyway, what it means for you is, for a family, is this: you're going to have water. But for the utility, as the CEO of the utility, I will reduce my cost of production, because I will only produce the water that I need to produce. Okay, I'm not going to, if you're losing 25, 30%, can you imagine you run a business losing 25%? It's not acceptable, but it's
Right.
what's happening. But anyway, and then at the same time, you're going to maximize your revenues, because you're going to make, you're going to make sure that every customer's pay the fair share. If they consume, they pay. If they don't consume, they don't pay. So our solution like ours, we affect the top line of the business, the bottom line of the business, looking for efficiency. Imagine that we reduce the US average to 24% to 7%, 6%. Countries like Israel, Japan are at that level. Means that this is going to represent millions of dollars of saving, millions of gallons of saving. So we have a social impact, we have economic impact, we have an environment impact, if you reduce water loss. So as a CEO, I can walk in my board of directors and tell him, we solved that problem. We managed that. We are, serving the community better. We are minimizing our production costs, and you're maximizing our revenue. This is, for the CEO, a dream that, some are taking the first step to move that, some not.
Well, believe it or not, our time is almost up here. We have less than a minute here. But look, the severity and seriousness of this issue is far too great. Anybody who has listened now knows just how serious this is. I want to end this podcast with a call to action. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to ask you to do that call to action from a few perspectives. Number one, start with the city, because this affects every community.
Yeah.
If you're a city leader, what should you be doing? Second, if you're a resident, what role do you have to play in this? And finally, if you're the utility itself, what can they be doing? So answer those three, and then we can wrap up.
Very good. So I'm starting with the citizens. We as citizens, we need to push for efficiency in every services any government provides to us. If it's water, electricity, health, doesn't matter. But we need to raise this flag and say, look, we need as a citizen, that we have clean water every day, now and for the foreseeable future. Okay, so at a decent cost, because we are paying, you and I, we are paying somebody else's inefficiency in our rates. We are paying people's inefficiency. Anyway, if I was the mayor, I would consider, look, water security is the paradigm. I need to have water security now and forever, or for the foreseeable future, for my city. I'm the mayor. I need to plan that. But the mayor, unless he was a guy that came from utility, he doesn't know the utility. He's told what people want to tell him. But anyway, the guy that is our customer, our target, is the utility. The utility, they are very busy. Don't get me wrong. Okay, those guys are not, procrastinating. They are working hard, because imagine that you have a manufacturing plant that is the size of the city. That's exactly what is utility. So it's not a small challenge by any means. Oh. But they are not paying attention to a problem that is happening every day. And they should be looking for efficiency. They are looking for efficiency in several parts of the business, and they are not paying attention to the water loss. Water loss is not going to go away alone. Water loss is growing, and we had just to finalize my long answer, we had the pandemic. During the pandemic, the water loss got worse all over the world, because they had to remove people from the streets due to the pandemic. So if you don't do serious investment on that, if you don't make serious investments on that, the problem is going to get worse, And we are talking with cities in US, talking with cities in Canada, Brazil, that they are losing 50% of the water. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, I think I answered the three people, but I would say, as a citizen, I would call my utility company and say, hey guys, how is your efficiency going? We need to reduce water loss because, I need to care about my grandkid, my grandkid, my life, because if there is no water, there is no life.
Well, and a minor point that you made, but still not unimportant, is the fact that every citizen should feel empowered to call their utility and ask about this because you're paying for it.
We are paying. As I had mentioned, we are paying somebody else's inefficiency. And guess what? Some utilities are making good money and they're not investing in their infrastructure. Cities, I'm not going to mention the cities here, but there are cities with aging pipeline of 60, 70 years old. What product do you have in your home that is 60, 70 years old? None. But you have our water carrying pipes that are so that age. They are creating a risk of our health because there is corrosion, there is infiltration of whatever is in the soil. So that is a lot of risk, and they are not paying attention.
Well, listen, Hélio, thank you so much for being part of the Preview of Tomorrow podcast. What I love about SmartAcqua is that not only are you addressing a challenge that we face today, you're also preventing a crisis that we could be facing in this country, but around the world in the future. So I really want to applaud you for the work you're doing and your dedication to solving this.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me, Mike. And we are in this together. You and I, we want to make our cities better. And I think it is a mission that, we need to accomplish.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Preview of Tomorrow. Listeners like you are essential to advancing our efforts to drive resiliency and sustainability for all. I ask that you give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or whichever streaming platform you prefer. Your feedback helps us to grow and share these brief previews of what life in the future can be. In addition to thanking our guest today, I want to thank Peter Roy and Demetria Bridges for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and encourage others to also join us each week in previewing the possibilities of tomorrow.
Preview of Tomorrow is brought to you by Leading Cities, a global nonprofit driving resilience and sustainability for all by unleashing the potential of the world's cities. Join them at leadingcities.org.